This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 532 for the week of December 14th, 2025. Well, hello and welcome back to Kanzenshuu, the podcast, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site, appropriately enough called Kanzenshuu. We cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. The way I elongated the shoe there each time, I really thought of the shoes on my feet. No, it's an S-H-U-U shoe, different kind of shoe. Hey folks, it's Mike. You may see me around the internet as VegettoEX. Really shouldn't be left to my own devices recording the intro and outro of a podcast. Start saying weird stuff, huh? Hey, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. We are attempting to regain the post-great sickness of summer-fall 2025 bi-weekly schedule-ish here on the show again. More or less. Got a great one for you this time around. Happy to have back on the show Vaughn over in the Europe. Vaughn is joining to chat about Manga Barcelona. There was a very specific guest that I wanted to hear anything and everything about, and that man's name is Takashi Matsuyama. Do you know the name Takashi Matsuyama? Well, you have certainly seen the work of Takashi Matsuyama, whether you know it or not, because Matsuyama was Akira Toriyama's second assistant working on the late Dr. Slump and early Dragon Ball series. And after that point became a very acclaimed illustrator, designer in his own right. We talk a little bit about Matsuyama's career during the course of our conversation, so stay tuned for a little bit more about that. And Vaughn also graces us with what may be a previously unknown production tidbit about Dragon Ball and a couple specific characters. So stay tuned for that over the course of the conversation. And that is what's on tap for you this here episode, already recorded, already edited. So let's get on into it. We've got Mike and Vaughn talking about Manga Barcelona, specifically about Takashi Matsuyama. And let's be frank, quite a bit about Kazuhiko Toriyama as well. Even though he wasn't part of the convention, his name came up a few times and we've got some stuff to say about him and just his shtick, let's say. So that's that. Enjoy the conversation. I will see you on the flip side to wrap things up, and we will look ahead to coming episodes in the near future. Enjoy.
So last weekend, from the 5th to the 8th of December, I was in Manga Barcelona, or Manga Barcelona, if you want to speak it with the Catalan accent, which is an event held yearly in, as its name implies, near Barcelona in Spain, where a bunch of people were invited, and it's the biggest event in Spain, actually. This year, they just published the numbers. It was 170,000 attendees.
I can never get over just how many people are at the things you go to compared to our conventions over here.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Japan Expo, which is 250,000, which is nice.
It's small compared to that.
No, it's fine. It's a big event. It was fine. It was nice. And they invited a bunch of different authors, including Watanabe, who is the director for Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, and Lazarus, and a bunch of other stuff. So he was nice. He came with Yoko Kanno, the composer for Cowboy Bebop, and the Scaflone, and what's his name, Macross Plus.
Yeah, that's like the holy trinity of Yoko Kanno scores for me.
Yeah, so she did a concert, they did speeches, they answered a bunch of questions, they trolled each other because they're good friends. And yeah, it was very interesting. And I sadly didn't get to get an autograph by Yoko Kanno, but I do have an autograph with Watanabe. And there was also Go Watanabe, who is a mangaka who is adapting H.P. Lovecraft stories into manga form.
I didn't know about this. How long has this been going on?
About 10 years, maybe?
Oh, geez. Wow, that flew by me.
I know there's a French and Spanish edition. I don't know if there's an English edition.
Yeah, of course there is.
I would believe there are English editions.
I'll look it up while you're talking about it.
Yeah, he's a very talented artist who is able to draw Cthulhu. So it's like It's not easy. It's not an easy feat. And he drew me a Cthulhu. He drew me a cat, like Junji Ito drew me my cat in Japan Expo Paris. So I showed him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to add a cat for you too." Like nice. So oral writers and cats is a big love story. There was also Nakashima, the scriptwriter for Kill la Kill. And a bunch of other things too, but that's what I know him most for. For him, I actually had an interview with him for Animeland, so I'm going to let you guys know whenever that Animeland magazine comes out. And there was also Takashi Matsuyama, who was Toriyama's assistant until 1990.
That's where I want to, that's like the main meat of really what I want to talk about is Matsuyama. Toriyama's second assistant. So he came in, I have this here. I have all the, he came in, his first assistant, Hisashi Tanaka, or Hiswashi, as he was called during the manga time. Yeah. He left during Dr. Slump to work as his own, on his own full time. Matsuyama came in.
I think it was 82 or something like that.
Yeah. It was like mid-late kind of era when he came on. And so the interesting thing about Matsuyama that, because you kind of pinned it as 1990. So going by Toriyama's own weekly comments published at the back of Weekly Shonen Jump, that every author gets like a little 1 or 2 sentence comment every week. Yeah. I think what we tracked down anyway was like the last time we heard from Toriyama about not having an assistant was like 3 chapters before the end of the series in 1995. So what can you tell me about 1990? That's really interesting to me.
So specifically in 1990, this was when Matsuyama himself left to become an illustrator because his work was mostly illustration. He didn't tell us. We didn't ask either. So it's not very polite to ask about your successor usually. So we didn't ask him about who came afterwards. But there was someone afterwards. And Matsuyama himself worked from I think it was 83 until 1990 with Toriyama, and he gave us a few details about how they worked together. And they also Matsuyama himself came to present his merchandise and his posters and his work as an illustrator and background artist. He's known for, in Spanish, there's his book was published in the 90s. The book in Spanish is called Motor Mania, but the actual name of the book is Motor Panic. And it's a bunch of illustrations of as the name implies, cars. And very, very busy illustrations with a ton of cars and, a kind of Find Waldo situation. So you get to look at the illustration and recognize every single little car. And that's the car from whatever. This is this model of car and everything like that. And it's a very fascinating work how he actually draws covers and how he draws backgrounds and how he adds little characters and hides little secrets in his very busy illustrations. So he came to talk about his work, to do two live drawings. So live paintings because he was painting and not drawing. So he set up his shop at the autograph sessions, and he was painting live while people were able to buy merchandise from him. That was Saturday and Sunday, and on Friday and Monday, if you queued to buy something, you would be able to get a signature from him. So that's what I got. I did all 4 because seeing him work is fascinating. So I was very happy to shadow him as long as I could. And I got to interview him for Animeland alongside the journalists from the magazine because we only had about 10 minutes. So instead of me asking the questions, we used someone we asked for the help of someone who is a Japanese speaker who would ask the questions and get the answers directly. This way, we would not waste time translating back and forth. And then I got to ask extra questions during the Q&As and the masterclass because he actually drew also on stage while explaining how he worked with references and how he did the poster that he did for Barcelona specifically. He did in 2 weeks. He did a full poster for the event. Very beautiful poster. So I'm going to drop a link to the image somewhere in the replies of the podcast if you guys are interested.
Yeah.
And he actually did random references. He visited the Sagrada Familia, which is the biggest church and most impressive church in Spain. And he was like, "Oh, I missed so many." He drew it from reference, but when he physically went there, he's like, "Oh, I missed so many details." Yeah, but it's Gothic architecture. You are always going to miss a detail because it's way too busy. Catholic architecture from that time. So yeah, we got to have dinner together, and we got to talking with his wife, and he actually is going back home today. So the 14th of December, he is on the plane to go back to Japan because he spent a few extra days in Spain to eat all the food, because you come to Europe, you eat all the food if you're Japanese.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how I missed this, but he's got a fully public Instagram account. So just as you're chatting, I'm just flipping through all of his photos that he's been posting from
the event,
this trip, other trips. I'm scrolling, like, oh, there's Toyotaro just hanging out with him there.
Oh, there's a picture of me there too. I mean, he shared a picture of me when I got the signature, and I think there's a few pictures in his stories where we got to dinner together with the Berlin Press bros, the Spanish guys.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's a Spanish fanzine about Toriyama's work in general called the Berlin Press 2.0.
Yeah, in my random Googling for Birdland Press stuff, I came across that. I think maybe early on, I don't know if it wasn't announced yet or just hadn't crossed my feeds yet. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? Oh, this is very cool.
So yeah, on the website of berlandpress2.com, you can actually download the full first volume of the magazine for free in PDF form. So even if you don't speak Spanish, you can just do a browser translation. It's perfectly fine. And there's a Matsuyama interview in there, and he's becoming a contributor to the magazine. So
that's so cool.
So yeah, whenever they publish, sadly they only ship within Spain because of logistics reasons. However, because they're putting out the PDFs for free online, it's not lost cause. And
yeah.
And because I'm nearby, I'm able to get them for myself, and I read Spanish, so I'm fine. So I mean, Spain Spanish, but as I told the Bird Bros, I was like, I speak the superior Spanish from Latin America, so
yeah, superior Spanish, yeah.
Yeah, we have our it's like a soda pop or a Coke. The soda pop or Coke debate is the same, but we have we have our little banters about this for funsies. But no, we spent a lot of time together. It was fine. It was nice.
Well, let's get into it. I want to hear stories. I want to hear stuff from the convention, panels, the paintings, and just the hanging out and the press junket. Just tell me everything you got.
So yeah, during the other sessions, there were a few people who you might know from whatever Instagram or Twitter or whatever. There's a few cosplayers who came just to see him too. There was if you remember in Japan Expo Paris, there was a cosplayer dressed as Dr. Jiro.
I don't know them. Maybe I do.
And he also came as Majin Buu, or Bukolo specifically. And Matsuyama was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" So they took pictures together, and he queued for the autograph, but he was not in cosplay. So it was interesting to see him post later. I mean, I recognized him because I know his physical build. I was like, "You're Buu. I know you're Buu." He's a very tall guy. Like he's freedom units, like 6'3" ish.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's pretty tall. So it's pretty noticeable amongst others. And I know what you're carrying. I know that backpack. I know that in this backpack there's a cosplay that I know. So yeah, it's pretty fun. There, during these autograph sessions, he was kind enough to sign the Berlin Press magazine because he's a contributor, so he was fine with this. But he would sign only where his interview was, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And however, for also obvious reasons, he refused, and the organizers also asked that we do not bring anything that is by Toriyama for him to sign for. Ioku is watching.
Yeah, sure.
It's
Yeah.
not it's not Pakima is listening, it's Ioku is watching. So
That's really interesting. It's like, even if you could specifically point to, like, I know you did this background, or
yeah.
this character or something. Yeah, I guess I get it.
Yeah, it's for ownership reasons, so it
Yeah.
was fair. However, in some cases, he was shown works from there's a specific Toriyama drawing where he drew Matsuyama together under the kotatsu and chatting about
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
That he accepted signing because it's specifically about him.
It's him. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was it was like kind of maybe, kind of no. So it's like arguable, It's not technically legal, but not technically forbidden. So like it was fine. And in my case, he signed. He was happy to see it, and then he said, "Oh yeah, it's fine. I'm going to sign it." He signed a Biosphere. The,
Yeah, I wanted to chat about that a little bit, because Biosphere is something that he came back. Toriyama actually had Matsuyama come back and help as an assistant on that, the comic in that pamphlet. And what's really interesting to me about that, and as I look at Biosphere, as I look at, well, I guess the comic within is Mr. U Delicious Island.
Usama's Delicious Island.
Yeah, as you look at that, and I look through all of his Instagram stuff, the way he kind of really got into the thick outlines and the really like chunky digital drawing of things, like him and Toriyama are one in the same in this era. Like, I would be hard pressed if you just gave me an illustration and be like, I don't know
Who
whose
did
this is.
Well, it's because in Usama, Matsuyama did all of the colors and all of the backgrounds. So
Yeah,
he
I mean,
did
it's
everything.
beautiful.
He did everything except for the characters.
What a great collaboration between them for that.
So yeah, they came back together for it. So it was nice, and he was very happy because before being his assistant, they were actually close friends. So
Yeah.
like, I'm asking a friend to help me out more than this is my employee, which is kind of interesting.
Let's jump. What's funny is Matsuyama, he submitted a Dr. Slump based piece to this figure modification contest. And like,
Yes.
that's just so funny and so apropos of these folks coming together.
Yeah.
And what I like about how Toriyama describes him is like, he's just a country bumpkin just like me. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
two of them are really two peas in a pod.
They share the same neuron, same person. Actually, Matsuyama says it's my fault that Toriyama got into car models, because it was his thing, and bikes and motorcycles were also his thing, and he got Toriyama involved in that, and then history was made.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, you think about Toriyama. Oh, Toriyama did Dr. Slump and Toriyama did Dragon Ball, but there was so much outside influence that was more indirect than we could ever really know. And I think Matsuyama is just a great example of that, just like as a whole.
That his wife also, Toriyama's wife, I mean.
Yeah.
Was also very involved with the background and the trip to China and stuff like
the
that.
Chinese aesthetics and everything. Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the background works in early Dragon Ball were also helped by Toriyama's wife. Mostly the painterly style of the. I forgot the name. I always search for it because I don't know how to write it. Those mountains with peaks and mist. The types of.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You see the ones. That was his wife. That was his wife. Yeah. More story. Well, Matsuyama actually said that they worked until they gave us the detail about how his work day worked. well, that doesn't make any sense.
No, I get it.
Yeah, so basically we got to ask him during the Q&A. It was one of the questions I wanted to ask for Animelon, but I was not able to because we ran out of time. So this is a public question, because the questions for Animelon, you're going to have to wait until the magazine comes out. I asked him what was his typical week like as an assistant for Toriyama. And basically, because we know Toriyama was lazy as hell. Like, I can't be bothered to modify the Nemu. I can't, as soon as the draft was approved by Torishima, Matsuyama would come in that same afternoon, like at 5-6 p.m. that day, and they would have dinner with the family. They would bathe with the family, but the family first, and then Matsuyama would take a bath at Toriyama's house. And they would work until midnight. Then they would have a light snack, and then they would work until 4 a.m. And this repeated the next day until the manuscript was done. And usually it's 2 to 3 days maximum. So this was his regular schedule: is coming in the early evening, have dinner and bath with the family, and then work until 4 a.m.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That can be correct, But nowadays he sleeps much earlier. He goes to sleep at 9 p.m. Like he has gone back to healthy habits in terms of sleeping schedule. But mostly because he's a freelancer and he works on demand, he can modify his work schedule depending on whenever deadlines are coming. But I mean, we went to dinner, and in Spain it's common to have dinner late. So when we went to dinner, it was like we started eating at like 8:30. This is normal. In France, it's normal too. We eat at 8. However, because it was a big party and we were like 12 or 14 at the table, the dinner didn't end until like at least it was 10:30, 11 p.m. And the bird bros were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to take to the after party." So I kind of told his wife, like, "Oh yeah, they're going to continue partying, so they're going to continue drinking." And he was like, Magi, still? Matsuyama was like, already half asleep. I was like, I'm going to call it a night, because tomorrow he had to come in early to set up shop. So like, yeah, I know these guys are crazy, but I mean, I'm going to sleep too, because I was coming in early as well. So, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. But yeah, his work schedule and his work with Toriyama, who worked with him, because Toriyama would ink. Matsuyama would prepare the panels, ink the boxes, and then Toriyama would draw the characters, and he would draw the backgrounds and the details and ink the hair of Goku. Usually, that's mostly his memories, like inking Goku's hair, until he became a Super Saiyan, and then that's work.
We know the whole story there for sure.
And that's true. I mean, he confirmed this as being true, and he said, Toriyama was very mindful about the work he would give his assistant, knowing that he only worked with one assistant. There would never be more than one assistant. So he would actually think his pages in a way that would help the workflow with him and his assistant, and not just what he wanted to draw, which to me is fascinating. Like, he would actually, in his page composition and his story making, he would actually think about how he would be able to draw it within a couple of days with an assistant. Like, he would plan ahead, probably not on purpose, but pretty fascinating stuff.
Just as you chat here about their work process together, and even just at the convention, be like, oh my God, all these people are going out drinking. Just to kind of set the stage here, Matsuyama was only a year younger than Toriyama. So he's 67, I think,
he's 68 now. He's 68
now. Okay. So yeah, he's getting up there too, but he's not that old, but it's still at a point where it's like, you think about what their relationship was at that time. Toriyama started really young, but as he was getting into Dragon Ball there, he was in his early mid-30s. It's just really fun thinking about these guys at that age working to that time at night. I couldn't
building car models and
yeah, right.
And being nerds, because they were both kind of nerds at the time. So it was, they had a close
once friendship. A nerd, always a nerd.
Yeah, it was nice. It was cute, and his wife was also adorable, and they really spoke fondly about those times as friends rather than co-workers. But yeah, he's still it seems that he's still in contact with Toriyama's wife and family in general. I don't know any more details because I didn't want to intrude into his private life. But if I get to have a more trusting relation and he's willing to go public with certain information, I would gladly share it. However, at this time, it's not really possible. He did have words about Torishima in public.
Yeah, you posted a little bit about that. I think was it on the forum thread over on our site? Yeah, tell me about his thoughts on Torishima.
Yeah, basically, since he had a public Q&A on stream, and the stream is available, by the way. It's still on the Twitch from the convention. I got to ask him, at the time, did you accompany? Did you go with Toriyama to the different editor meetings with Torishima? And is it as hard as working for him as it seems? And he was like, no, the memory. The memory is haunting him, but kind of in a good mood. Like it's not, it was not bad, but he said, I mean, I didn't go into the meetings, but I would accompany, I would walk with Toriyama to the meeting. And the impression I had of Toriyama is that he spent most of the time scolding Toriyama. And afterwards, he and Toriyama and Matsuyama would go out drinking and have a karaoke, to distress from the situation.
Yeah.
But he also said, by the way, Torishima came out with a book about recently in Japan. So I said, yes, I have it. I have the book. And maybe he's not a bad person. He said, like, in the end, probably he's not a bad person. So it's kind of wholesome, having these people talk about their times like 40 years ago. Yeah, I know, 40 years ago. Or 35. 5 years ago.
All right, let me pause you there, because we talked about Torishima one of the last times you were on the show, where he was at the convention and he did the panel with Toyotaro with Lost Samurai, the draft. And that really seemed to be kind of like the publicity he's done in promotion of his book coming out over there in France. But just there's a lot going on with Torishima, whether it's from the podcast that he's been doing or his book coming out. Yeah, Kosokoso podcast series. He's got a lot of very candid, direct thoughts on things. And I think people are only just now cluing into the fact that this is how he is and it's how he's always been about things. Torishima was, he ended up as one of the biggest mucky mucks within Shueisha. I mean, all the way up to director level. What is your take on Torishima's modern persona, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, just with how direct and crass, some might even say?
That's one way of saying it. Sure. I mean, he actually scolded me. I got scolded by Torishima.
Oh, really? Hey, that's a badge of honor right there.
No, I don't know. It's mostly because he and his team have no idea what English is like. And they basically, to recap, he did an interview for a Diamond newspaper about the Dragon Ball theme park in Saudi Arabia. And in that interview, the interviewer said, "Oh yeah, Torishima is barking about how this is a bad idea."
Yeah.
And Torishima reacted and then put out a public saying, "Oh, I didn't bark. I just said it was sad that a theme park should be accessible, like Shonen Jump should be accessible to children in Japan, first and foremost. And a theme park in a foreign country doesn't sound very accessible to him." And I quote retweeted that saying, I had done a rough translation of the article and I put in a note saying, Torishima said that. However, the article says it, but Torishima said that, basic fact checking, because I don't know, Japanese journalists don't do that. So this is the Japanese journalists just report on the spoken words. They don't do any analysis. They don't do anything like that. So for them, this is very weird.
Yeah.
And I in the quote rated, I said, and basically this is because the statements that were misinterpreted about the Saudi theme park were used to basically say that Torishima was Islamophobic.
Yeah.
So I was like, this was not the case. Please stop saying that Torishima is Islamophobic. He is not. This is what he meant. And I just quote-tweeted what he was saying no, he meant it's a question of accessibility to Japanese children. It doesn't have to do anything with Saudi Arabia as a country or Muslims as a religion, stuff like that. And he actually scolded me saying, "Oh, you have to delete this because this is not what he said." I said, "Yes, I know. This is what I'm correcting in English. You guys don't speak English."
Right.
Like, come on. But I still deleted it because he asked me to. But I mean, It's very frustrating. He's a very frustrating man because it's very hard to communicate with him and his team because they act like we should all be behaving exactly like Japanese journalists and card-carrying press journalists should be acting.
Yeah.
But I have when in Rome, do as the Romans, and I mean
Absolutely.
Japan Expo was not very accessible convention, and I said, yeah, I mean, the Lost Samurai. I mean, it's a public link, so like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can post a
Absolutely.
public link. There's no reason for me to gatekeep the link to only attendees because this is what they do in Japan, but I don't care. We're in France.
Yeah.
Like, it's a question of respecting the basic customs of the place wherever you're going. And even if you respect the wishes of the person saying, oh, they don't want us to take pictures of the stage or of people doing the speech or filming the people doing the whatever conference, that's okay. I can do that. That's perfectly reasonable. But we didn't say an NDA. Like, come on.
Yeah,
So,
I know. I'll give you my one little example of something like that we had. We interviewed, unfortunately, a real shitbag voice actor that in Japan that we will. I mean, it's part of the show's history. It is what it is. It was Todo Furia that we interviewed at a convention. Julian lives in Japan, speaks fluent Japanese. So we walked in and Julian just started speaking Japanese, and the interpreter and the handler was like, great, we don't have to do any work. Perfect. So they just like left and got something to eat while we interviewed him. And then
they left him alone.
Yeah, they left him alone with us. So then afterwards, they were like, okay, and we'll need to review your interview before you post it. I'm like, you will not review our interview before we post it. That is not how that works over here. I gave them a courtesy of here's what I am posting, but it was not I'm looking for your
It's not
feedback.
permission.
Yeah, it's like too bad. I mean, this is it. That's it. You let us interview him. So anyway, unfortunately, it was Frutia, so fuck that guy. But anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's understandable, but I mean, there's a friend who interviewed Torishima and Nakatsuru, and I don't know who else. And also, he had to delete his interview because, oh no, I didn't know it was going to be published in Japanese, so delete it.
Yeah.
Like, why? I mean, there's no such thing as the Japanese internet anymore. Okay. So yeah, it's very very frustrating for Matsuyama, and for Nakashima as well. They did request us at Animeland because it's print press. They did request us to send the questions beforehand.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, Animeland is a very reputable magazine. We do things very seriously. Bruno de la Cruz, who is the redactor-in-chief, editor-in-chief, is extremely serious when it comes to his craft. Like, it's not yellow magazines, it's a very serious, good magazine. So yeah, only one of the questions was refused out of customs. I was like, yeah, that's fine. We can do without. However, the questions in the public Q&A, I went for it. This is when I asked about Torishima, because I mean, I know it was not really polite to ask him in a private interview for the magazine, but I mean, in public for everyone, this was a common, plausible question that anyone could have had. It's just that I was the one who asked it because I could.
It's just so funny the difference. Like, at least for that, with the submitting questions in advance, like it's known what the process is going to be. But I like your workaround. Like, oh, I'm just asking a public question. Oh no.
Yeah, but then again, there's also the fact that this was I mean, he could say, nah, I'd rather not answer that. Perfectly understandable, and I told him also beforehand, like there are going to be public questions about whatever, and if there's any question you don't want to answer, like whatever. But however, Matsuyama as a freelancer does not have Yoku or Ushida watching over him. He's like, I can say whatever I want because I'm not under any contract. So as long as I don't break past NDAs or whatever elements of a previous contract, I don't know, so stuff like I mean, his hours were like, it doesn't matter. However, something more precise, such as his tax returns or his salary, that is more sensitive information. So of course that's not going to be answered, which is perfectly sound.
Yeah.
However, people who come in with their managers or who come in to promote a specific work by by a company or an editor. Like this was something else. For instance, Nakashima came on his own. However, Gu Tanabe came with his editor and his representative. So some questions were not able to be asked even in public due to him being with his under contract. He's currently under contract. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff to work with these wonderful people. I'm really looking forward to be able to meet a lot of people in Japan in March when I go. And to complete some details, and I have, however, I have a little exclusive for the Kanzenshuu team about Matsuyama.
Ooh, yes.
He confirmed something that I knew as being fact, but I was like, it would be nice if he could confirm it because he should be able to know.
Yeah.
Android 17 and 18 were in fact designed by Toriyama's wife.
Wow.
Because they don't wear regular clothes. So I was like, when they are wearing regular fashionable clothes, I was like, hey, did Toriyama's wife had a hand at it? Oh, yes, you have a very keen eyes. Indeed, it was his wife. I was like, yes, I knew it. Yes.
That is incredible. And, it really, I think it shines a further light on what we know of at the time. And I think Toriyama is trying to walk this back a little bit, maybe intentionally, about how much involvement he had. But anyway, when we know about the reaction, let's just say editors at large had to 19 and 20. And so to then introduce new characters, you can totally see Toriyama going to his wife and be like, fuck, man, I don't know. Help me out here. Like, what do I need to do?
Make them look cool. But they're fashionable. And if you read The Apprentice Mangaka,
Yes,
the small book that, and there's a sector there, there's a page in that book. Hold on, I'm going to grab my copy because I have it here in French. And there's a page here where he actually says how to design characters and how to draw characters. And there's a very fashionable lady wearing a British flag shirt or skirt. I don't remember. I remember seeing the Union Jack. I was like, this was not Toriyama himself. And this is young girl. So yeah, it's faces. How to draw faces, but there's something about clothes that he did. Yes, I found it right here. And he said that my wife helped me out with the design for this one. Wow. I was like, the squinty eyes, like, I see what you did there. And yeah, for Android 18 and for Android 17, to me, it's obvious, but some people say, "Oh no, that's a pure Toriyama design." No, look at their clothes that they're wearing. This is shoujo. This is for the girlies.
Well, I mean, you also think about. When did Yu Kondo come in as editor? It was after. No, it was around.
Kondo, yes.
No, he came in during Scion Arc, right? So he was there during that.
But Toriyama was still involved because he kept calling.
Yeah, and he was
kept calling.
Editor-in-chief of Weekly Jump at that point? Yeah, so of course he would have eyes on it. But yeah, when you think about Kondo being editor and of course Toriyama turning to his wife, like it all adds up at that point.
Yeah, he didn't. But yeah, Kondo, it seems that the criticism about 19 and 20 being boring antagonists and needing to be switched, it seems they already had come to the conclusion about that before Torishima called Toriyama to scold him.
That's funny. Yeah. So it was. I love this. Unfortunately, I feel like we're getting a little bit of revisionist history on some of this stuff. Like some of this we had on record, like in multiple places for years. So when Torishima comes in, it's like, no, that's not what it was. Like, I don't know, dude. Like we kind of had this on the printed page 3 times. So I don't know, but I do like the other tidbits that we can pull out of it still too. And that's what's so beautiful about this. Like, even though we've lost Toriyama, we've got these other folks that are willing to speak about it and share their own experience too.
And people who were involved and really lived it. Yeah. Then again, I mean, there's a lot of revisionists, but also people who don't remember because, I mean,
sure.
When you ask Nakatoru about a random thing he did 20 years or 30 years ago, I don't remember. This was work, Do you remember your philosophy essay that you did in 8th grade?
Right, exactly. I know. That's something I think a lot of fans don't quite grasp sometimes. It's like, yeah, this was a piece of artwork and they were invested in it, but it was also a job. And it's like, what did you do Thursday morning when you redesigned that character? I don't know. We did it and we got our draft in time. That's it.
Yes. Exactly. There's that, and there's also the fact that there's. I was talking to a few friends about the difference between professionals who were professionals and then worked on Dragon Ball. So Masaki Sato, Nakatsuru, Torishima himself, Eguchi, what's his name? Koyama, Ueda also. And there's a difference between them and people like Shintani, Kubota, Toyotaro, Yuya Takahashi, and people who are under 50.
Yeah.
Basically, and people who were fans and then became professionals. I mean, I could tell Nakatsuru, "Hey, can you draw me Trunks?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." He hasn't drawn him in like 20 years, but he remembers, and he's very good at character design, so he remembers even the antenna.
Yeah.
And Kubota still needs references when drawing even characters that he himself designed, such as Orange Piccolo. However, if you tell them about, remember when whatever episode came out and the order of events of the story or stuff like that, they will be they will be replaying like clack, clack, clack. They know. I mean, Kubota and Toyotaro know. Like Toyotaro in particular, when he was asked about whatever canon meant and stuff like that, and Torishima was like, "Whatever, I don't care." And Nakatsuru was like, "I'm not in charge of the story. I don't know." And Toyotaro was like, "Oh yeah, for me, almost everything is canon. I watched and I read everything. For example, Dragon Ball Online, and he goes into a deep dive of Dragon Ball Online out of nowhere.
The thing that wasn't even in Japan that he'll tell you about."
Yeah, and he's a true one. I mean, we can say a lot about Toyotaro, but he's a true fan. He really appreciates and he really takes the best of everything he can. However, he's a going to say he's just an employee. It's not random employee, but he's still just an employee. So there's not much he can do about everything else going on. He's not in the decision-making power for most of things. But yeah, it's fascinating to see how everyone involved worked on different things. Matsuyama himself said, working on different pages and panelings was interesting. We got to ask him about, so if you look for the magazine when it comes out next year, about what was the hardest background he had to draw, whether Toriyama didn't accept his characters to be inked, and why. And what was his last chapter, if he remembers, because that's something else. Do you even remember the last chapter? Because for Matsuyama, it's like, Cell Saga, Buu Saga, Namek Saga, all of that is like kind of the same. Like he doesn't really know the order of the events.
Interesting.
Because he was not really that involved with it. So, he was not involved at all, and he didn't pay. He was not a Toriyama fan. He was a Toriyama friend. So yeah, he doesn't really pay. He hadn't really paid close attention. Well, he knows the name of some characters. Like he knows the designs. And
it's not like he doesn't know the series at all. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thankfully, I would say. But yeah, he was probably more involved with a day-to-day life and the occasional appearance and interview that Toriyama did, or whatever event he participated in, and he himself participated in as his friend. And regular. I mean, he might have stories which he won't tell, but for privacy reasons. But he might have stories about a random fan person who came to Toriyama studio and who gifted him, I don't know, something weird. This is more Matsuyama's kind of. Talking to him about the story of Dragon Ball isn't really important. It's talking to him about the story that happened, the history around Dragon Ball. That was more, or Dragon Ball and Dr. Slump as well, would be more relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, I was very happy to get him to, and he gave me a little shikishi for myself.
Oh, honey.
And he did one for Anime Land, which is a part of the. The customs is that you take a picture of the person with a shikishi for Anime Land for the magazine, So he did that, and Nakashima also did that, and then I went as regular fan. And, oh yeah, that one was for Animeland, but this one is for me, please. So he did a tiny version for myself.
Very nice.
And he gifted one of the paintings to a Spanish graffiti artist who was the reason why he actually came to Barcelona. Who they played contact, so they would be able to invite him. And he gifted a little. The other live painting he did, he gifted to the convention. And it's also the same for Kemi Takada, who was the character designer for Urusei Yatsura, was also there. So she also did live paintings and gifted them to the convention. It was very interesting. But yeah, I can't wait to see what's. Torishima is coming to Comic Con Naples,
Yes.
in Italy. He's coming to Naples in late April, early May.
Okay, great.
And because at the time the French book would be able to be out by then, I believe he's going to show up to Japan Expo Marseille, which is in March. But who knows? It would be logical, but he said he would be back once the book was out. So if not for Japan Expo Marseille, which is the one in March, he might show up again to Japan Expo Paris in July. But who knows? I hope I will be able to go there. But yeah, he has scolded me, so I doubt he's going to.
Yeah, but he's not going to remember you. That's fine. It almost feels like he's doing this victory lap of his career at this point. Also, I can't get over the fact that we got his book in English before you got it over there. That's wild to me. That never happens. But
yeah, I'm still offended.
I'm offended for you.
I'm still. Yeah, I mean, it's very curious because it also came out in Spanish, by the way. Also, the Dragon Ball Legend edition.
Yes.
The Shoshuden edition came out in Spanish and in Catalan, but does not exist neither in English nor in French. And I'm like, oh, come on, this is the best edition of Dragon Ball. It has the true Shueisha colors and not the weird recolors for the Kanzenban.
That's great.
And it has a big format, like the Weekly Shonen Jump, so it's a huge book. And it has the comments, the comments around the pages that used to be in the magazine. And this is much cheaper than buying the Weekly Shonen Jump.
It is. There have been a couple times where I'm like, oh man, I really need to get it. Oh wait, I have the digest edition. I can just take a photo of this. This is great. No one will know the difference, but that's fine. So you've got a busy upcoming 2026. Sounds like you're going to Japan and Torishima is coming to you, at least in one case, maybe in a couple of cases. So this is definitely going to be a case of we'll have you back and we'll get some Torishima stories. Man, we got a lot here today. We got some cool exclusives about Toriyama designs on characters and stories from Matsuyama's past and his time working with Toriyama. Is there anything we didn't cover that you think is just one cool last little anecdote to share?
Matsuyama is not very good at drawing characters from Dragon Ball.
Oh, really?
he drew a small Goku to show how he would ink the hair. I mean, it was. I'm not going to say I draw better than this because I don't, but. I mean, clearly he did a collab with Tom and Jerry, and you know that he's a big fan of American.
Yeah, you can tell that. You scroll through his Instagram, it's like, oh, this is very apparent. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, his little Goku. I mean, he did it in the panel on the side, but he loves cars, and I actually got to find the cars that he was drawing live painting. He was live painting. I was like, okay, I'm going just to Google the plate, the number plate of the car, and actually found the model of the car that he was drawing. I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
Funny.
So I showed it to the translator. The translator showed him my phone. I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. Well, my Google Fu was pretty impressive to many Spanish speakers. So I was like, pretty nice. Other than that, my coffee is open if you guys want to sustain my trip to Italy for Comic-Con or to help me pay for my housing for when I went to Barcelona.
Yes, I will make sure I link that. Yep.
For fun, it was not very expensive, but I'm doing it out of my own pocket, so a little support does help a lot.
That's the Kanzenshuu way. Do it out of our own pocket, and if anyone wants to help, we certainly appreciate it. Love that.
Yeah, and I hope Botsu's book will be able to come out in other languages, but the Botsu book is basically a compilation of past interviews by Torishima, so they are findable. They are on the Kanzenshuu website. Most of them are on the Kanzenshuu website. The interview with Matsuyama in 2018. Torishima and Matsuyama, I mean. So yeah, it's pretty fun, and I want to thank that Manga Barcelona that they were very kind and very welcoming to me and my fandom random self. A very quality work. The convention was pretty big without being overwhelming. The concerts were nice. The press conferences were very interesting. The Animeland magazine where the Matsuyama interview is coming out should be out by September 2026, around that. I don't have the exact details because we still need to transcribe a lot of stuff, and my editor-in-chief is putting together the whole magazine. It's not just one interview on its own, it's like a full magazine. And Matsuyama, I gifted Matsuyama the first edition of Dragon Ball Volume 1 in French.
Oh, nice.
The pastel color edition, which is printed Western way. So I had to explain to him, like in 1993, this is what we used to do.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's different, but I mean, we are the first, one of the first, so he could see his work in French, and a pretty cute addition to the memories. I also gifted him the Animeland magazine about Dragon Ball, the one from the one that came out last year. And he was able to see everyone involved, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a lot of people I know, and a retrospective about his friend, because Toriyama was mostly his friend, and it was very hard to tell him, yeah, I mean, deepest condolences, because for us, we were just fans from abroad, even if he touched our lives with his work. But to you, Toriyama was your friend, so it's not the same weight.
Yeah.
And to me, it was important to let him know that people knew that they were not just the coworkers. And I mean, he was deeply affected by Toriyama's death, as much as Nozawa was. And it's important to really be respectful and kind and celebratory as well. So this is also why probably he's accepting to work with the Berlin Press, the Spanish version magazine. So, and he actually knew about the original ones, the Japanese versions. He has a couple of them, but he does not have them all. So he promised I would scan my versions for him, so he would be able to because I brought some of the copies I had, because I have them all. I have all of the Berlin presses, and I brought them the ones where he appears. I was like, oh, look at you when you were young. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember this. And his wife was like, oh, he was so young. he was such a baby at the time. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's very, very touching to see how connected he was with everyone. And I mean, he's very nice. He answers from his public comments on Instagram. Don't DM him. Like, don't spam his DMs. Yeah, don't be weird. But I mean, comment his posts and really be nice, be kind. And he and his wife are right now they're on the plane, so they're going to be jet lagged. But if you can kindly comment on his stories, on his posts, and he's kind, and he's accessible, he's nice, and if you go to Japan, he has his studio and he accepts visitors, so it's very nice. And I'm going to post my haul about the stuff that I bought from him. So if you guys want to check my links, you're going to be able to see my the little things he did. He did a few acrylic stands that are extremely cute. So yeah, it's very, very big love to everyone at Manga Barcelona, and big love to him for coming all the way to meet us and to visit and eat good pork. Iberic ham is the best. Like I'm French, so I have an agenda for food. But Iberic ham is good. Like
I think that's where we'll leave it on that note there. Vaughn.
Yeah, food. Always food.
Vaughn, thank you so much. I appreciate truly the stories that we get here. This is stuff that really is needs to be shared with the wider English speaking world. So I'm so appreciative that you come on and share all this stuff with us. So again, we'll have you in 2026 to talk more about other conventions and Toriyama, and let's see if we can get a couple more scoldings out of him.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have the Genki Damatsuri news in January.
That's true. We got a lot coming. Let's just leave it there. Bon, thank you. Appreciate it. We will see you in 2026. Once again, thanks to Vaughn for hopping on and chatting with me about Manga Barcelona, Takashi Matsuyama, and all sorts of other great stuff. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. And that unknown tidbit, perhaps? That was good stuff. Man, what do we got going on in the background? I have a lot of stuff that's been going on the site lately. I'm going to give you a teaser of something that I publicly shared over on my personal Blue Sky account. Then I'm going to give you a tease of something that I further shared more about that on the Kanzenshuu Patreon. And then I'm going to give you another teaser of something that is technically public, but I will probably talk more about in a Patreon post and look for some final clearing up of information, crowdsourcing some stuff on there. Let's just start running through things. Okay, so the number one thing I want to chat about was my journey of confirming the release dates for the second trial run of V-Jump. Visitors of the site, listeners of the podcast probably know, and if you don't, you're about to know. V-Jump launched in 1990. At that time, it was this like special spin-off of Weekly Shonen Jump. You'll see that like Weekly Shonen Jump special issue, special edition branding on there. The original trial run was 3 issues, and then it went away for a bit. Then it came back for a second trial run in 1992, which ran for 4 issues. Then it went away for a little bit, and then it came back in 1993, in May 93 for the July 93 issue as its own truly independent, ongoing monthly relaunch of that magazine. And it has run from that time ever since, hasn't missed a single month. It's been out on that monthly schedule since 1993. So the easy thing about the monthly schedule is every issue says when the next issue is coming out. So we have confirmed release dates for all of that, even not pre-internet, but pre-official V-Jump website. If you have the magazine, you can tell when each issue is coming out next. Julian tracked down release dates for that original trial run of V-Jump. So it was the stuff in the middle that was a little bit in question. Now, that middle run, the second trial run of 4 issues, those also all say when the next issue is coming out. That simply leaves the first issue of the second trial run where you don't know when it came out. So I did a couple things. One is I went to the last issue of the first trial run to see if it gave any kind of tease about when it was going to be coming back, but it was not. It was a lot of just stay tuned kind of information. So what I knew I had to do at this point was buy a bunch of Weekly Jump because I assumed/knew that in Weekly Jump, they would do a promotion for the fact that V-Jump was coming back, and here's the release date for it. So I knew what the cover date is for it. So just a quick review of cover dates as well. You actually heard me mention it previously, going through the different runs of V-Jump here. It launched in May 1993, dated for July 1993. You probably know this from when Super was serialized, but V-Jump comes out on the 21st-ish of every month, barring a Sunday or a holiday, in which case they move it up a little bit. Sometimes there are special differences around that. Occasionally they will try to line something up with Jump Festa. For example, even this month, the February 2026 issue is coming out on December 19th. So then going back to the second trial run and seeing what the cover dates were for each of those. So for example, the cover dates for those 4 issues of the second trial run, November 22nd and December 30th, 1992, and then February 21st and April 4th, 1993. Because I was able to get the actual release dates for issues 2, 3, and 4, I could directly compare how far there is of a distance between the actual release date and the cover date. So for example, issue number 2, the cover date is December 30th, but its actual release date was December 4th. That tells me that all of these issues basically came out within a 3-ish up to 4 week time frame of their cover date, with the release date obviously being before the cover date. So what I did is, knowing that the cover date for that first issue was November 22nd, I went to our own manga guide on the site and I looked up all the Weekly Jump dates that were kind of like in a month and a half-ish time frame around leading up to and just past November 22nd. I ordered a whole bunch of issues, and wouldn't you know it, I opened the first one to look, and it's right in there. The release date for that is November 4th. Love that. In particular, that first issue of the second trial run has what was original artwork by Akira Toriyama, and then it was produced into CG by Bon Presto and some other folks. Second trial run has the 4 chapters of Dub and Peter 1. Second one kicks off a long-running reign of slime championship by Osamu Kaneko, who I've talked a little bit about before, and I'm continuing to learn so much about. Had the slime farming village in there. So just tracking down these release dates, that just feels good. Like, it's a good research project to know, like, this is the exact thing I'm looking for. I think it should be here. Let me spend the money to get them. Yep, got it. It was right in those places. So if you want to learn more about that process beyond what I just told you want to see some visual examples, patreon.com/Kanzenshuu. Got a whole nice write-up on it there. The other thing that is, it's technically live right now because I wanted to share the link with some folks, in particular in our Patreon chat and maybe on the Patreon itself. I wanted to add, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, a new page to the theme guide on the site. The theme guide covers opening themes, ending themes, insert songs, and even the eye catches in the series. The new page I wanted to add within there is vocal video game songs, starting all the way at the kind of like the tail end of the 16-bit era as they did vocal versions of some of that music, all the way up through the modern era. And it just came together so fast. That stuff is burned in my memory. I know each and every song. I know all the CDs they're on. I own all of this stuff. So the fun process was just, getting title screens from the games, specifically the Japanese versions of the games. Like, it's just a good, busy work kind of project for me, knowing everything offhand and then trying to double check stuff and then filling out information along the way and realizing, oh, I'm adding more info to these later games. Let me update the formatting for the earlier ones I did to match this later stuff. Just fun stuff all along the way. Looking at it now, we actually start with, Ultimate Battle 22. It's technically first. I think that was ahead of the Super Gokuden, the second game of that. So we've got like Eternal Promise from Ultimate Battle 22. Then we got Tears Falling Like Rain from Super Gokuden. Got these awesome character songs, whether it's Hikari no Willpower. Then we've got Midday Darkness from Shin Butoden. Like, this stuff is just, I love all of this. So getting all that documented. I've got a couple last things I need to spot check, double check. In particular, let's say the Real Legends, Idainaru Dragon Ball Densetsu. That game has Red Book audio. For those who don't know, Red Book audio is when the game data is track 1 on the CD, and then there's actual regular CD audio beyond that on the disc, as opposed to pre-programmed like MIDI or later streamed audio, not MP3s, but like think MP3s on a game disc kind of thing. Just straight up, you put it in your CD player, skip track 1, you can listen to the music, and in this case, even the narration from this game. Legends notoriously doesn't play well in emulators. And by that, I mean the game itself, like the gameplay, pressing the buttons to do the fights, plays totally fine. Even to the modern era, it still misses some music in the game, though. The most notable one is the title screen of the game is supposed to have music, and up until the last time I tried it on some of the PS1 emulators, music doesn't play there. Even in, like, I did my own rip of the game and everything. I'm not downloading some weird thing, doing all the modern stuff, doing the CHD, the CHAD files on stuff. Still doesn't play menu music over the main menu there. Anyway, what I want to check is a lot of international editions of games, like Final Bout has vocal versions if you play it on the hardest difficulty. Like, just checking all the different regions of all that kind of stuff as it does get into international distribution is just, it's a thing, and I got to wrap all that up, and I might ask for a little bit of help on that kind of stuff, particularly with the European editions of some of those games. But I think I got it all in there. I even forgot about some of them, like Extreme Butoden on 3DS actually has the vocal version of Kuzenzetsu Go, as opposed to the international editions where they stripped it out and they just did an instrumental. Like, just noting all that kind of stuff. What's actually a little horrifying to me is now I do actually know all of the different variations of the Dragon Ball Heroes mission theme songs. Like, I actually know them by sound now, which I don't love the fact that I know that now. So that's just a new page coming to the theme guide, little things going on the site that you will see probably a little more formally announced as truly wrap them up. Man, we just got a lot of stuff going on the site. There's just always so much going on, not always known public, but maybe sometimes you get a peek. If you look down that edit log, you would have seen this video game vocal theme songs page popping up there. So spy on us every once in a while. You might see some surprises down there. So that's it. Let's wrap it up there. I promised some future podcast stuff, but just figuring out what the schedule for the rest of the year is going to be, lining up guests and recordings and things. We'll see what the schedule is. I'm going to try to keep us on bi-weekly for at least the foreseeable future. Stay tuned to the socials. Blue Sky is the best place to find me, find us for all this stuff. So let's just go through it all. www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. The aforementioned patreon.com/kanzenshuu. $1 just says, hey, love what you're doing. $5 says, hey, let's hang out in Discord. That's all we're asking. We're not doing anything crazy. That's just it. Help us keep the lights on every month. We just want to hang out, have a good time. As always, there is grabyournearest.com, aka twitch.tv/VegettoEX. Most Saturday nights, we are playing Mario Kart. The last stream we did, we actually missed a week. This is one of those good times where the episode's coming out and we are playing this upcoming weekend. So stay tuned. Last stream we did, we had just a regular good 2-hour session. And then actually at some point towards the end, my sister-in-law asked wait a minute, how do you all know each other? And we went into this 30-40 minute side discussion post gaming, diagrams included, of how we all know each other and met each other and how this extended friend group kind of amalgamized together towards Mario Kart here. It was a really good time. So be sure to hang out with us most Saturday nights around 8 p.m. Eastern time for around 2 hours there. It is the #TheContent trademark. I think that's it. There's probably a bunch more. I actually got to hop on a meeting now. I got to stop recording. So thank you, everyone. I will see you next time here on the show. I have been Mike. Thanks again to Vaughn for joining me this episode. I will see you next time here on the podcast. Bye, everyone.